This is Brett Waltemath of Star Watch Media on the red carpet at the Who's On First event, benefiting the Joe Torre Safe at Home Foundation at the Bel Air Hotel in Los Angeles, California. You've described domestic violence as not only being a health issue, but also an issue that there isn't enough awareness brought to it. It's not discussed enough by the people. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of it is that I don't think people are educated, and it's something that I sense. I mean, not that I know. I think we're still learning stuff about this. I think I sense that since people really don't know what to do, and a lot of people feel, well, there's something going on next door and there's a lot of loud noises, it's their business. You know, and we have our Safe at Home Foundation geared toward children and hopefully ending the cycle of domestic violence through education. And in the meantime, and doing that, we save lives. You know, the kids are so important for us. Even though they don't maybe necessarily have our last name, I think we're responsible for making sure they get a shot at life. So, you know, I know when I never talked about it because it was something I was ashamed of, and that's basically why people don't talk about it, the people who are involved in it. It's something I was very close about. I thought it only happened in my family, only happened in my house. And when we started our foundation, I had kids I grew up with. In fact, friends who I went over their house when I saw my dad's car in front of the house because I didn't want to go home when my dad was still home. So when we started our foundation, I had these friends of mine saying I didn't know this was happening because I just never shared it with anybody because it's sort of it's an embarrassment and shame. And I think I know the message we're sending these kids that we do help is they're not alone. There are other kids going through it, plus the fact that it's not your fault, because there was a lot I took upon myself thinking that I was the cause of what was going on in my house.
This program now being over 10 years old, some of the kids that you originally started with are now young adults. What does it mean to see the young adults that they become mainly due to the program and what it's done for them?
Well, you know, first of all, I just go off myself. I was very fortunate. I had the ability to play baseball. I had a place to go hide. I could go play ball. There are a lot of these kids who don't have that luxury. So when they go out there in the world, you know, and they don't know really, they don't feel very good about themselves, it's easy for somebody to grab a hold of them and say, here, come with me. So, you know, to me, when we see these kids come into our Margaret's Places, which we name our safe rooms after my mom, and then they come back, and then some of them become peer leaders, it's very satisfying because what we do works. And to me, that's the big thing for me. You have to, I don't think enough people know. In fact, I just found out this over the last year that people's kids' brains don't fully develop till they're 25 years old. So they're very vulnerable, and I think it's our job to make sure that we find a healthy path for them.
Ali, I believe when Joe first brought up the idea for this program that you were the one that came up with the idea to focus it on education. What was it about thinking that education would bring the greatest value and healing for these kids?
Well, I did a lot of work before I met Joe. When I was a college student, I worked on a hotline, a domestic violence and sexual assault hotline, so I heard the stories firsthand. And in the beginning, it was a very big feminist movement, going there and putting people in shelters. And, you know, it didn't make sense to me that you would take a woman and her children out of their environment, out of their school, and put them in kind of a place of hiding. And so to overcome everything that they've gone through, I thought that was just traumatic. So why don't we go into the schools where the kids are and give them a safe place and a trusting environment where they can actually talk about it and not feel that shame and embarrassment, give them the support that they need. And so that's kind of where my idea was based on. You know, you have to start with the kids. They can and should be a part of the solution. And what we found with our program, the kids that we have worked with, they're just so resilient. If you just give them that support, and the safety plan and the tools that they need to navigate their world, because it's not always physical violence that kids are dealing with. It's verbal abuse, it's emotional abuse, and so we could work in that environment with that. We do not have to take that child out of their environment, and they can actually become teachers to their own parents with with the concept of never putting them in danger.
Thank you so much to you both for the time. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the evening. Thank you, Joe.
Joe, we're with Ken Anderson.